everybody, back again. And I'm sure someone out there is probably going to ask, wait, Matt, I thought you died at the end of the last review. Remember, you had a heart attack, you fell on the floor. Yeah, and I got brought back to life. Yeah, with a magic eraser, and then I defeated an evil demon of the undead. The link's here. Go watch it. It's a short film I made for Halloween. It's, I think, the longest short film I've ever made. But, yeah, go look at that if you are curious as to how I got brought back to life. So, yeah. Yes, but as for today, though, we're going to talk about Bleach Chapter 471. I got some things to say, but go to the intro. Hey everybody, Tekking101 here, again. If I don't seem that enthused about this chapter, well, you already read it, because why else would you be here, so you already know why I'm not very enthused about this chapter. Where to begin with this? Well, here's the thing. I did not think Kubo was going to do this. I did not think, of all the things I thought he could conceivably do, I did not think he was going to go this route with it. Cramming 4 people's backstories into half of the chapter. So, yeah, I did not think he was going to go that route with it. I thought, maybe he was going to, he set up the flashback last chapter. That much was a given. We were going to have a flashback. I was expecting that. I was also expecting that, it was going to be, I figured it was going to be like maybe 1 or 2 of the execution members in this chapter were going to be, like, their backstories would be told, and then in the next chapter we would get to the other 2, and then in the next chapter we would cover maybe Ginjo and Tsukishima. I know that would be taking up, my theory would take up 3 chapters of space. But Kubo has shown that he is able to show backstory in a good way. Look at Turn Back the Pendulum. Yeah, that sucked up like 11 chapters, but it was a good 11 chapters. It covered things that we were really curious about. I didn't think this was going to be a whole arc. I didn't think this was going to cover like as big as Turn Back the Pendulum, but I thought it was going to at least take a little bit of time up, Instead, he crams everything into 1 chapter, and because of that, I can pretty much sum up the first 13 pages of this chapter like this. Riruka's a spoiled brat, Yukio had a messed up childhood, Jackie had a messed up childhood, and Gariko's a homicidal nutcase. Okay, there we go. So we cut back to Riruka, and Ruki is okay, fine. I'm not going to do that, but we all read the chapter, and I'll just go through it, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe other people actually like this. But I didn't. I really didn't. I'm not bashing on Kubo. My opinion, I did not like this. But let's give a brief summary of this flashback train wreck so I don't have to... Maybe that's what I'll call the chapter title. Flashback train wreck. I don't know. But I really don't want to go through the whole thing or else we'll be here until December. Okay, so first page. Riruka steals a doll from someone and then she awakens her powers. There you go. And there's a little caption at the end of the page. It says, hide away all the things you want from everyone else and they become yours. The logic of a 5-year-old. Moving on. Okay, so next page. Yukio did not think of his father as his father, and then they locked him in a room. Yeah, we kind of already knew that. So then we go over to Gariko's backstory, which I have to admit, this was the one I was most interested in, because most of the execution members are rather young, so all their backstories were going to take place when they're children, and I'm okay with that, but I thought Gariko's might be a little more interesting because he's, older, so he would be like, his backstory might be a little bit interesting. So, basically, there's a watch in his family, and all the family members in his past had this watch, and they never fought in any wars, and they never died in accidents, except for his father, who died of a sickness, which kind of contradicts itself. But anyway, he gets the watch when he's rather young, and I guess he didn't believe in God other than the watch. I mean, I get the premise there. I mean, like, maybe he was like, he didn't believe in God, but since the watch was proven to work for everyone except his father, because, yeah, it was kind of ironic there. He went on a spiel about, oh, my grandfather had this watch, and they never fought in any wars, and the house never burned down, and it was a really good luck watch. Then my father owned it, and he died of a sickness. Okay, then we have Jackie's backstory, and it tells her how she got her boots, or her dad stole them, or whatever, which I guess indicates that her dad was a drug lord. See that, or something like a thief or a criminal. That's the thing that I was kind of upset about. I'll wait till the end of the flashback, but basically that's why I was upset with this. You know, they allude to things, but they don't go into greater detail because it's all shoved into one half of the chapter. We'll get to that at the end, but yeah, so then she gets the boots and she's really happy, and oh look, it's funny because her boots are dirty boots. They're centered around dirt, and when she was a child, she cleaned them all the time. Yeah, and also, it's kind of funny, but she says that I fear the day that my feet would outgrow the boots, and I mean, she's an adult now, so they're obviously not the same boots, so... You know, and that'll make sense later for something else. But then we cut back to Guriko's backstory, and oh my, this is the part that gave me, I don't even know, maybe I'm just a little bit slow to the party here, but this whole page doesn't make a lick of sense to me. Okay, so he says, I mistook the power of the watch for my own power. Okay, right there. Are you talking about the power the watch already had, like it was just a lucky watch, or are you talking about your full bring? Now, we're led to believe he's talking about his full bring, but then he says, so its real power was able to kill someone without touching them. No, it wasn't. You never mentioned that. He never mentioned once. Oh, the ability, the true power of my full bring is to kill people without touching them. No, you said it was the ability to set timers on things. And he demonstrated several times it was the ability to set timers on things. He never mentioned the whole killing thing once. And then he decides to try it out on his wife. Oh, and yeah, do we ever find out why he hated his wife or why he wants her dead? No, we don't. Never find that out. I guess that's the problem when your flashback for a character consists of 2 pages. Yeah, but yeah, so he tested it out on his wife, killed her by looking at her, and its power worked, but then he decided he contradicted himself. He thought of, ooh, maybe I should stop the killing, and then his eye blew up. And that's how he got the eye patch. That's how he lost his eye. And I was kind of okay with that because, you know, I was like, out of everything in the flashback, I wanted to find out how Guriko lost his eye, and they explain that, but it even makes even more questions. It's like, okay, I don't know if this is just something with you, but when Ichigo and Mr. Porky were in the box, there was a bunch of people that wanted to get them out. Chad even said, we have to stop this, we have to get him out. Right there, he's contradicting it. He's not putting his faith in the box, so shouldn't have Chad blown up? I'm just saying, it's contradicting stuff, I don't know. But, yeah. And how did the mechanics of his wife dying, how did that work? If I look at my wife in the next 2 minutes, she will die. And I look at her. Is that how that usually works? Because when... I'm just saying, from every other occurrence that we've seen Guriko use his powers, probably the last one too, because he's dead now, we've never seen his powers work like that. Because if they did, why didn't he just use it with, like, in an actual battle, when he was fighting Ginjo, when he was fighting Kenpachi? You know, that Shinigami will die when I look at him. I don't know, but yeah, he lost his eye, so that's how he lost his eye. I don't know how he lost his eye, but that's how he lost his eye. I'm getting confusing too, am I? Yeah. And then we cut back to Jackie's story, and oh, jeez. Okay, so we cut back. Oh, I'm a happy little girl. I have my new boots. Everything's all happy, and I'm carrying my brother's dead corpse. How did her brother die? Why is everybody dead? What business is her father in? We never find out. The only point of this is that the blood got on her boots, and that's how they got the Dirty Boots ability. You know, I would say that something else we learned from this is that their full brings are awakened when they experience trauma. And that might be true for Yukio. I mean, that might be true for Yukio, Jackie, and Riruka, but Guriko didn't have any kind of tragedy to awaken his powers. I mean, his dad died, but we never even saw him, so he was apparently really shook up by it. Okay, so Yukio's backstory. His parents are mad at him because he's talking to a computer simulation. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, Yukio's is very, very uninteresting. I mean, they're all kind of but whatever. So, we go back to Riruka's again, and she liked the guy, so she put him in a box, and she fed him sweets. But then after a while, he got a little, I would say, depressed, because there's a little girl keeping me in her little box, feeding me nothing but sweets, and basically keeping me as her prisoner. So, then she let him go, which we never find out what happened to him, if he died, or if she let him go like she killed him. I don't know, but, yeah, so, there you go. That's the end of the flashbacks. I don't even know what to say. I really don't like Kubo did that. I really don't. I would have preferred, you know, just 2 or 3 chapters dedicated to the backstory. That would have been fine with me. I didn't want all of them crammed. I don't know if they're going to continue the flashbacks. They might, but, you know, I would just like to establish a little more. You know, what was the deal with Jackie's father? You know, what was, tell me more about Gariko, because you skipped over a big thing there. His powers didn't really sync up with everything else we've seen, so I don't know, but whatever. Whatever. So we cut back to present. Ruruka continues talking about, you know, survival of the fittest, and we are the scraps of weak meat, and everyone thinks they're better than us just because we're the minority. And then we have the second flashback of the chapter. Well, not really the second, it'd be technically like the 5th. But, yeah, so we cut back over to when Ginjo first met everyone, and he said, you know, oh, so the minority should just sit there and die? That's ridiculous. And it's not your fault, so it's time to be turned around, and it's our turn to bite back. So that's when he joined the Alliance. I mean, I guess when he formed Execution, I guess that's just how that worked. We really don't know when Tsukishima fits into all this thing, but whatever. So it was Ginjo who recruited them all, made the society. Cut back to the present again, and yeah, Rukia has been really kind of taking advantage of Ruruka just talking for the past couple pages, and she's been setting up this little thing where she set up a, I guess it's a trail of ice leading from her hand from Sode no Shirayuki, or maybe it's her spiritual energy, I don't know, but she uses that to activate her Zanpakuto's ability. So Rukia gets back up and she pretty much says, I understand what you're going to, but that should never be a reason to abandon your friends. What? She goes on a spiel about how each of the Execution members were alone and forgotten, and no one cares about them, and then Ginjo saved them. You should never abandon your friends. That's what she drew from that. They were kind of already alone already, so they didn't have many friends. That's the point. Are you talking about just, like, abandoning your friends right now? Like you went to separate rooms to fight? Is that what you're talking about, abandoning? Well, you really weren't in control of that. That was kind of Yukio's deal. But, I don't get that. I don't get that. Why she said that. But, so whatever. So she sneezes on her. She releases her from the stuffed animal. And instead of, you know, I thought this was going to be like the moment when Ruka was going to, like, you know, come to terms with her and be like, not fight her anymore. But instead she stabs her in the heart. And that creates a hole in Rukia's chest to open up in the shape of an R with the R symbol. And then she passes out. And Ruruka says, sorry about this, it's just I didn't want to be finished by that power. So, I don't know what just happened, if that's just some other ability she just pulled out of nowhere. Maybe it has something to do with sealing her spiritual pressure. I don't know. But that's the end of the chapter. Sorry if I was confusing on this one, guys, but that's really how I was when I read this morning. I was completely lost on half of everything, and, you know, I'm not saying Kubo's bad at doing flashbacks, because he's shown he is good at it. In fact, I like most Bleach flashbacks, because they show things that, they actually show crucial things, you know? But this one really didn't. I mean, it basically it just asked more questions. I have more questions now going into the flashbacks than I did before. Which basically before I just, how did Gariko lose his eye? And how did Execution first meet? And, you know, how did Ginjo come in the picture? Those were my only questions, and those were kind of answered, but now we have like 5 others. But anyway, so all told, not my favorite chapter. In fact, one of my least favorite chapters in the past couple of weeks, just because it was really confusing. It more questions than are answered, so not a big fan of this one. So anyway, next chapter, Byakuya is against Tsukishima, so probably not we're going to go back on the flashbacks again, I highly doubt it. But yeah, I mean, I really hope they answer some of those questions, because that was just confusing. Yeah, so Tekking101 signing out. Here's the link to that movie again I made, a short film. Go see that if you want. See ya, guys. I need an aspirin.